That's the simplest way to say it. I mean, you can give me your definition, but this guy told me that a husband.
Do you have like a ministry?
I do.
Okay. And
oh no.
Yeah. Andrew, I'll let you come in on this in just a moment. And so with your ministry, are you preaching to both men and women? Or?
I mean, I'm on YouTube, so I say sis a lot, though. I think naturally I just geared towards women, but I get the whole women shouldn't be leaders and all that. And here's the thing: naturally, I don't. When a woman is on stage, like as a pastor, I'm not against it. I know there's two different schools of thought when it comes to that. Biblically, like I get that, but I believe that women still have a part in the church.
Sure. Well, Andrew, I'm not particularly religious, but, doing my own research, even as somebody who's not religious, my understanding of Christianity is that among all denominations, even Protestant, non-denominational, that is a heresy.
That's incorrect.
Heresy, yes, that's correct.
It's incorrect.
Some denominations have split off, and
no,
they have
I think
different
even
doctrine.
Protestant, it's
well, but I'm saying, like, for example, the United, any church that says United, typically they have a more liberal view of things, and so they have, even Saddleback Church is technically part of the Southern Baptist Convention, and they now have allowed, Rick Warren stepped down and...
Wait, do you have a ministry too?
Don't they all?
Clarify what you mean by that. Clarify what you mean by that.
Well, we were called to be ministers.
Yeah, I mean,
the Great Commission
I
is
guess
to
you could
preach,
say that,
to teach,
yes.
to heal, and to cast out demons.
Yes,
And
I do have, so yes,
Andrew,
I do consider my life
I'm really
a ministry.
curious, though. Why do you feel so, like, let down? Isn't that the Great Commission? We're all disciples, right?
No, it's not.
So only men are disciples?
No, that's not what I said. Chill out, and I'll explain it to you. When you get to the original apostles who became bishops in Christ Church, were any of them female?
Can I say something? Because I actually did study this.
I didn't hear you. What?
The original apostles who became bishops, were any of them female?
No.
Why not?
I'm not sure.
It's actually not safe.
Nor am I saying that I need to be a preacher or I need to be a pastor. I'm just a witness. I am.
Yeah, but what did Paul say?
Disciples.
What did Paul say about women leading in the church? What did Paul say?
He said,
about
"Don't do
us
it."
being quiet. Is that what you're talking about?
No, he said specifically in multiple places that women were not allowed to have leadership positions in the church. Now, when you're talking about a woman's part in the church, I don't disagree. I think that women do have a very important role in the church. It's just not as clergy. And it's never been as clergy.
I'm not against that. Like, I'm not here wanting to be a pastor. I hold Bible study. That's because there's...
And it was really supposed to be a protective measure.
Let her finish.
And I don't create the curriculum. I go based off of a pastor's curriculum, a church curriculum that's handed and passed down to us. And so it's not... To me, I'm really just holding space with as a disciple, as a witness with other disciples that are looking to get in the Word of God, to talk about God. But I don't need to be on stage doing altar calls at a church.
Yeah, so a priest is an embodiment of Christ on earth, and Christ embodied as a male.
You do have a warm sense.
That's why
about you.
So women cannot be the embodiment of Christ. That would be men only. That is the
we
Christian
are part of the
That's not actually what the doctrine was ever even about. But just
How do you know?
FYI, because I studied all of this.
You did? Yeah. So
Yeah.
what was the first synod?
The
when
whole
they
principle,
discussed this, tell me what it's called.
The whole principle of women not speaking
that's
in
not my
church
question.
had nothing to do with the fact that women didn't embody fully Christ or God. It was a protective measure because men like you are assholes, and it's a protective measure so that men would speak in public. I'm just saying, I mean, you don't have to take it personally.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Okay, just avoid ad hominem attacks.
Okay,
please.
so because we live in a patriarchal society and the Bible was written in a patriarchal society to protect women, it's a protective measure. Men don't listen to women. It's much better if the woman goes to her own partner, her own husband, her own brother, who's the minister, and gives the message to him of what's on her heart. And he filters it through his man speak, whatever you want to say, and he goes and presents it before the men. That way he takes the flack on himself for it, so she doesn't have to deal with that emotionally. It's a protective measure. Women are very sensitive emotionally. We were not made to handle all these criticisms coming at us. That was supposed to be the setup. It was never supposed to be, we're not equal to, we're not worthy, we don't have important things to
10
say. It
seconds.
wasn't supposed to be that way. The patriarchy got convoluted over time.
So I'm going to try this again. I'll just ask you the same question. Maybe you can answer it. Did Jesus Christ embody as a man or a woman?
Jesus Christ?
Yeah.
He embodied as a man and came to tell us that all of us have the same
Okay, so he
power
embodied.
as
He
him.
embodied.
And
he
I'm
embodied as
embodying Christ consciousness now as a woman.
How come he didn't embody as a woman?
Because he just answered that particular call and he happened to have a born to him. I have a and I have the
see.
same call.
He just happened. He could have been either. He just happened. God just happened to
I
only
believe
pick the male
because of
form.
the nature
there was
of
no
the
actual
time,
messaging behind that.
It was
there was
very
no
dangerous
reason
for
that.
women
He just,
to
he
live
just
back
wanted
then.
to.
It was
Okay,
very
I have a
dangerous for
question.
women to live back then.
I have a
It wouldn't
question.
Go
have
ahead.
worked.
Yeah.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Well,
So-
hang on.
Wait,
I just want to make
Andrew,
sure that we're
respond
clear
then.
on this. Very quickly, you think that Christ embodied as a man just because it was fun? It was funsies for him?
No, because it was the safest way for a
The guy
person
who
with
got
that gifting.
crucified, it was the safest way
It
to
was,
get
because if he was a woman,
$200.
if he was a woman, he wouldn't have made it past 12.
Answer 2 + 2, please shut the fuck up.
This is wild. I've never heard any. I mean, this is. You don't even have a grounding epistemology for this. So, what is your actual epistemology for church doctrine?
Who are you,
You don't
to
even know what
ask?
you don't
I
even know
think
what I
she's
just
talking to
said.
you.
Like I don't. You don't even know what I just said.
Do
What
you
is your
know- do-
epistemology
do you know
for
what-
church doctrine?
Do you know what Jesus came to promote?
Okay, let's
Oh,
stop.
I
because we're
can't
gonna
wait
start.
to hear what he
gonna
came.
start.
What did he come to promote?
I asked you. What do you believe Jesus came here
Christ
to promote?
came to give us a church. He said so himself.
Christ
He
said
came to give us a
the
church,
body
yes.
is the church. The body. The body is
I'm
the
sorry.
church.
What now?
The body. The
The body.
body
What?
is
Body,
the
body,
church.
body, body.
So therefore, this is the church.
You're making a word concept fallacy because you don't have any grounding epistemology. So you don't really understand what you're talking about. You've heard the term that we make up the body of
Let
the
me
church.
ask you
But
something.
a marriage, for instance, is a representation of Christ being the head of that church and you being the body of the church. That's why the man
Yes.
is in the leadership role inside of that union. So if that's the case, then he must have embodied as a man for a reason. So what is your grounding epistemology?
A better
First,
question
let's start with this.
would
do you
be,
even know what epistemology means? Can you just start with that? Can you tell me what that means?
I will answer your questions when you answer this question.
Just
No,
answer
you gotta
what does
answer his
epistemology
question.
mean?
I'm not answering your question.
You
if
don't
you're
know
not
what it
answering mine.
means.
I
You
had
don't
a
even know
question
what
for you.
you have no idea what it even
I
means.
need
do
to
you?
understand the frame of mind that you're in, so I have to ask you some clarifying questions.
The word
Do you
is the
agree?
word.
Yeah, if you don't know what epistemology means, it's not a shot against you. I'll tell you what it means. You just need to be honest and say, Andrew, I don't know what it means, and I'll just tell
You
you.
just need to be honest and say, I don't want to answer your question, Desiree, because
I'm
it
happy
might
to
bring
answer
up
every
something
question
that I
you
don't want to
have.
deal
I've been
with.
sitting here answering them.
So can I ask
Do
you
you
a
know?
question?
Yeah. Do you? But first, answer. Do you
Just
know
say
what
no so we can
epistemology
move
means or
No,
not?
no, I'm not answering unless you're answering
Wait,
my question.
Andrew, just here. Ask your question.
This is just
Hold on.
wild. Okay.
Ask
fine.
your question, then Andrew gets to ask his. He'll answer yours. You'll answer his. Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Do you have some sort of problem with seeing yourself as the current embodiment of God?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the problem?
Well, it depends on how you mean embodiment. That's why I'm asking.
So,
about
for example, you
epistemology,
said
but
you're in a marriage,
Yeah. So the example is, I would say that a priest would be an embodiment, as in.
So,
the
but you told me-
representation-
you
I'm
said
trying to answer
yourself-
your
Hold on,
question.
let him
Trying
finish.
to answer
Let
your
him
question.
finish.
So I would see a priest as a representation or an embodiment, I think, in the context you're using it. That's what I would see as an embodiment. Hang on, let me finish the answer. That's what I would see as an embodiment. Now, I just answered your question specifically Can you
Lord
tell me
Paladins
what
donated
epistemology means?
$200.
We'll get
She
right
has
to
to
it.
figure out your frame of mind, Andrew, so she can figure out how much to charge you
True,
in order
true.
to answer your
Totally
question.
true. Totally
Yeah,
true.
now I just answered your question. Can you tell me what epistemology means?
Epistemology is the study of the epistles. That's the simplest way to say it. I mean, you can
Wait,
give me
he's
your
walking
definition,
away.
but this guy told me that a
keep it.
husband and wife is supposed to be the representation of God and the church. He said he's a husband. I asked him if he sees himself as the embodiment of God, and he said no. That doesn't make any sense.
Wait, what is the epistles?
The epistles are the apostles. Are you talking about the
No,
apostles?
what can you you use the word epistles? What are the epistles?
He said, what is epistemology?
Yeah, no, what are the epistles? You said you
The
used the word
apostles.
epistles.
Right? Are you talking about the apostles? Just say it in common language.
Yeah, Andrew.
Just say you don't
Epistemology,
know. Just say you don't
epistemology is
know.
just the study of how we know knowledge.
Okay, well,
That's what it means. It
right.
has nothing to do with epistles. What are you talking about? When I'm asking for your grounding epistemology, I'm asking, where do you get your grounding foundation for the knowledge you know? That's important when we're talking
First
about
of all-
theology because, hang on, it's important when we're talking about our grounding for theology, that we would call that grounding epistemology.
why are we getting into this? Is
Anyways,
this a
you
church
had
show?
something. Go ahead, Ashley. Go ahead.
What I was gonna say is I agree with you, Andrew. Like I believe that there are roles that are for in like leadership that are for men, but the way I look at my ministry or what I do is like the woman at the well when she met Jesus and Jesus called her out and basically told her past, and she had an encounter with Jesus, and then it says in the Bible that she went out and started telling the world like what happened, and she started talking about Jesus, and that's the same framework I'm in. And another, like, let's take away the podcast that I do, which is just sitting down talking to people about their testimony with God. I have a ministry offline where it's just going to go meet the needs of seniors and then showing them the love of God. I mean, to me, why would that only be
Yeah,
for
I
men?
think if you're talking about maybe things like I do Bible study with
Yeah.
with other girls, or I do kind of outreach or something
Yeah,
like that.
outreaches and stuff
I
like
think that might be different than having a position of church authority, and that's what
Right.
we're talking about when we're
Yeah,
talking
I
about
don't
women
have
in
that.
leadership roles, right? So,
And I
when
agree
we're
with
talking,
that.
hang on. And when we're talking about ministry, I think it depends, because I think that if you have a ministry, it depends on the context. Are you in a church leadership role because you've created your own church? That's where we start to kind of dive into, are you clergy or not, right?
Right. Yeah, no, so I'm submitted under a church, and any of the Bible study content that I get is from the church that are from males.